COVID-19 now has a presence on every continent except Antarctica. This has led the World Health Organization to upgrade the risk of its spread to the highest level. Just how do we protect ourselves? From face masks to gloves, today we address the misinformation and myths around the virus as well. Joining me now is health journalist Aisha Abdul Karim. Aisha, thank you so much for joining us this morning. As a health journalist, it must be very difficult in a situation like this to keep on top of the overflow of information now that this coronavirus has indeed gone international in a very short space of time. How difficult and how dangerous is it for the way, if we look at the way information about the coronavirus has spread so rapidly, especially over the last 2 weeks or so?
Yeah, I think definitely it's very important that people be aware of what their sources of information are and that they keep an eye out to make sure that they're not just believing anything that they see on like their Facebook page or anything that's being shared over WhatsApp. As the panic around the virus has spread and a lot of people have become more worried about it, there's also been this massive increase in misinformation. So it's really important to remember that the most important thing to do is wash your hands, and all the other information about these other protective measures are just unnecessary, and the only thing really you should be doing to protect yourself is wash your hands regularly.
Now, a story covered by Becky Cisa, Center for Health Journalism, that you work for, took specifically the case around face masks, because one of the first stories we saw as a result of coronavirus coverage is that face masks are selling out fast and their prices have gone through the roof. What's the latest in that regard?
Yeah, so basically people in China began buying the face masks because it was something that they wore anyway, and people saw that popularity and the high demand for it, and they thought that buying a face mask is going to help protect you. The truth is that a regular surgical face mask that you or I could go and pick up from a pharmacy like Dischem is not going to protect you in any form. It's not going to stop the virus from getting into like the air that you're breathing. Essentially, the face mask, all it does is it stops someone who is already sick from spreading it to other people. So it's not going to afford you any protection if you're wearing a face mask to try and stop yourself from getting sick.
Now, there's been a lot of comparison between the coronavirus and SARS, the SARS virus from a few years ago, more than a few years ago. From just watching how the coronavirus has spread, how it's been reported on, is the coronavirus worse than SARS?
So I think what's important to remember is that the coronavirus, this specific one that's been found now, is the COVID-19 virus, and it's part of the coronavirus family, which is the same family of viruses that the SARS virus came from. So, but there's really no need for anybody to panic about how deadly it is or if it's worse or better or anything, because there haven't been any cases in South Africa yet. So the most important thing to do is just, you know, if we do get our first reported case, be aware of like your hygiene, but up until that point, there's no need to panic or stress about it because it hasn't reached South Africa yet. So there's no need to worry about it or be concerned about how dangerous it is at this point.
And now we've heard from various experts that South Africa, specifically through the National Institute of Communicable Diseases, they're confident that the testing methods that we have in place in South Africa would be able to handle it. There's talk of government repatriating those South Africans from the epicenter of the coronavirus. We still haven't got the details of when they'll come back, where they'll put them in isolation. What are you hearing from the experts that you're speaking to about how prepared South Africa is to handle something at this level, where in terms of my lifetime I've never seen government having to do something like that?
Yeah, so I mean, I think definitely in terms of this evacuation and the quarantine, there's still a lot of details that haven't been shared yet. So it's not really clear exactly where the quarantine will take place or the mechanisms by which the government is going to implement them. We have done quarantines previously in this country for TB. And quarantines are a very effective way of stopping the virus from spreading, especially with this particular coronavirus because it spreads so easily. So the quarantine is an effective way of doing it if it's implemented correctly. And our National Department of Health and the NICD, which is the National Institute of Communicable Diseases, are handling all of the screening processes, and they'll be in charge of the quarantine. So they'll have the procedures in place. And the NICD is also managing the testing, so they have been testing all of the cases, all the potential cases within South Africa at their laboratory. So we're very well equipped to kind of do the screening. We have all the measures in place. But again, there haven't been any cases yet, so there's really no need to be concerned about it at this point.
Now, just before I let you go, media are doing their best in terms of speaking to experts, making sure everything that's being reported is on a factual level and not from a place of panic. But social media does make it very difficult, isn't it? And that kind of probably makes it more dangerous dealing with this coronavirus as opposed to other versions of other coronavirus that we've seen in the past. Your advice to people looking for information, where would be the best way to find it? Certainly not on Facebook.
Yeah, I think definitely my advice is don't just trust like information that you're getting from a friend or that you're seeing shared by someone on Facebook or social media. You need to be looking for like a reputable health source. At this moment in time, the World Health Organization's website is the best place to be looking for constant updates, and they have a whole section on their website that goes through like myths and misinformation and the best ways to protect yourself, which is really just practicing good hygiene. So that's washing your hands, covering your mouth and your nose with your elbow or with a tissue when you're coughing, and then, you know, getting rid of any tissues that you use immediately.
I was saying this morning when I looked at the list of things that you really should be doing, I mean, this is what they taught us in primary school, isn't it? Just personal hygiene, but just making sure you're being exceptionally careful with that. We really should be doing this all the time. Thank you so much. Aisha Abdul Karim is a health journalist with the Bekisisa Center for Health Journalism. They really do some great work there. Thank you so much for joining.